Making a career as an adventure filmmaker can be tricky. It's a competitive field. People want to get paid to film surfing, skiing, biking, or whatever outdoor sport they're passionate about. After being an adventure filmmaker myself for years and working with some of the biggest brands in the industry, I hope I can instill some advice and give you a few of my favorite tips that can help kickstart your adventure filmmaking career. Let's dive in.
The truth is, there's nothing like old friends.
So I'm in the process of making weekly videos for all of 2024 on this YouTube channel to chat about adventure filmmaking. I've made some videos about how to film rock climbing, how to film surfing, but I wanted to do a video kind of walking through the logistics of creating a career as an adventure filmmaker so you can do it too. So the advice that I'm about to give is some of the advice that I wish I had gotten when I was first starting out in my career, because I think there's a lot of uncertainty on next steps and there's no clear blueprint and roadmap for creating a career as an adventure filmmaker. So hopefully this video can kind of like uncover any myths and give you a realistic look on what you need to do to make a career in this for yourself. An adventure filmmaking is a very glamorous career, and what advice I'm about to give maybe isn't the most glamorous on the surface, but once you start to stack these habits and stack these actions, you can start to genuinely create change and tell stories for a living and go out and get paid to film skiing, climbing, or whatever outdoor sport you're passionate about. So let's dive into the first tip, which is managing your finances. I know, pretty lame first tip to give, because obviously you want to hear about how to film rock climbing and the adventurous parts and how do I get trips funded, but finances are kind of at the root of any career. If you're not getting compensated properly over time, then this is really a hobby and not as much of a career. And that's fine, you can have adventure filmmaking and photography as a hobby and there's nothing wrong with that. But for this video, we're gonna dive into how to make money and how to keep money. When it comes to money, I always think of money as the tool and freedom as the goal. So I want the freedom to be able to go to any country in the world and create a documentary there on my own. I'm the director, a filmer, editor, so I can do everything myself. So if all it takes is me to go somewhere to go create a documentary project that I'm really excited about, that I think will create impact in the world, I want the budgets and the finances to just go and do that myself, and can worry about being compensated later, but I like to keep a big safety net. So if 1 month or 2 months pass and I don't have any jobs come in, I can continue to still create things and still make a difference in my industry. There are 2 great books I recommend, which I've linked in the description below. One is called I Will Teach You to Be Rich, and the other is kind of a classic, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. These financial books I think are a really great overview on how I structure my finances in terms of saving, in terms of investing, and setting myself up for a future with wife and kids and everybody's taken care of financially. This segues into how to make money as an adventure filmmaker, which I made a whole video about, but briefly, I make money primarily through working directly with brands to create branded documentaries for their athletes, ambassadors, or products. And although that is my primary income, I do have other sources of income coming in, so I feel a little bit more diversified. So if the industry starts to take a turn and brands stop funding branded documentaries, then I have other ways to continue to make money in the filmmaking industry. So to break it down, I'm a director at my own production company. I will occasionally edit for major production companies for Netflix, HBO, Hulu, bigger shows. This is really fun because I can also learn how to be a better documentary film editor, and it's normally not so much time that it takes away from my own personal projects, but it allows me to supplement my income and take a few days to go work on a project and then bounce back to my own projects, feeling financially stable and having a good learning experience along the way. I will occasionally be the cinematographer or camera operator for certain productions, but for the most part, I would say 95% of my income is just me being the director, filmer, editor of my own projects that I work directly with brands through my own production company. I've become pretty strict on owning all of the rights to my own footage because a lot of distribution opportunities have come up in my career and I'm able to license past films onto various networks and TV programs all over the world, and that supplemental income is also really nice. So I do have a kind of monthly income coming from past films that I've made that's getting licensed to various networks. I will also make very small amounts of money selling prints, public speaking, and actually performing my own music. I think it's a fun way to like support my music hobby. I have a rule that I'm only allowed to spend money on my music with money I earned from doing gigs. I am a musician, but I'm definitely not trying to pursue that as a career, but it is kind of like fun extra bonus money to have in the pocket sometimes. And here are some things that I feel like we hear often, especially on YouTube, on how to create income that didn't ever really and still doesn't really ever apply to me as an adventure filmmaker. Selling stock footage, monetizing YouTube channels and getting AdSense money, affiliate marketing, all of these incomes that require having an audience, which you may be looking at this YouTube channel and be like, Rue, you have almost 3,000 subscribers. Like, you seem like you're doing great. This is definitely a passion project. I do not make money from YouTube, and I don't really plan on making a whole ton of money from YouTube in the future. This is just something that I'm trying to do to help build the adventure filmmaking community up and help up-and-coming filmmakers get started and help build their careers. So YouTube doesn't benefit me financially. All of my income comes from working with brands and working in the filmmaking industry itself. Once I make that money, I save that money, I invest that money into retirement accounts, brokerage accounts, and all other sorts of things I can do to keep that money growing while I'm making other money on the side. For now, we'll leave that here. Managing your finances is really, really important and an often overlooked part of the adventure filmmaking career. If you're not able or willing to talk about money, you might struggle in having these contract negotiations with clients down the line and signing those bigger and bigger paychecks to get you compensated fairly for your time. My second tip is to stay fit and healthy. As an adventure filmmaker, being healthy is really, really important. If I'm unable to keep up with these athletes in the mountains or in the ocean, I'm losing out on my potential for storytelling, my potential for brand collaborations, and the amount of money that I can earn along the way. So I do a number of things to keep myself healthy. I have a very regular fitness routine. I try to work out once or twice a day in a couple different disciplines: running, rock climbing, swimming, weightlifting, all sorts of things that I can do to kind of help keep my body in shape and ready for an adventure at a moment's notice. Living in Boulder, endurance athletes are kind of everywhere, so there's a great community of athletics here, and I love being a part of that community, but I also do think that regardless of where you live or where you train, just getting out and staying healthy and being fit can really go a long way in creating a very active, sustainable career for yourself. But there's more to being healthy than just having a good fitness routine. I also am very intentional about the diet that I have. I'm mostly plant-based, so I'm eating lots of fruits and veggies throughout the day. I'm trying to stay away from sugar, but I do love sugar. So I make sure that if I'm eating sugar, I'm often partnering it with an exercise, because when exercising, we're burning sugar, we're burning glucose. So I can feel a little bit less bad about eating sugar while I'm out on a big adventure, a big trail run in the Alpine. And then when I come back, that's digested and I can continue to eat my fruits and veggies for like the core of my meals. This definitely does get a little bit harder when I'm on location or on remote shoots, where I'm kind of just treating food almost as an afterthought. Sometimes I am able to meal prep and have nice pre-planned healthy meals, but sometimes I'm kind of just eating what I can to keep the calories up so I can continue to fuel this adventure. But hopefully, if I do it right, nutrition and diet is a big part of what I'm doing while I'm in the field as well. The last tip I will give on being fit and healthy is managing your mental health. I'm a big advocate for talking about mental health as a part of health and wellness in the adventure filmmaking industry, because I think that the more mentally healthy you are and the stronger you feel in your brain, the better work that you create. I've found for myself moments of my life where I'm feeling stressed or overwhelmed or down, I'm not creating the quality of work that I'm capable of because my brain is distracted by other things. So talking to a therapist, journaling, doing yoga, doing whatever it is that you find can help benefit your mental health, make sure to continue to do that even when times get busy. I think it's easy to get wrapped up in your career and try to just do everything you can to make it work, and I definitely fell victim to that early in my career. I'm sort of putting all of the healthy things that I needed in my life aside. I wasn't focusing on nutrition or diet or mental health. I was just working to try to get things to work. But I found that when I took a step back and found a really great personal balance in my life between work and play and community and editing, I could find this really sustainable rhythm of creating great work, taking care of my mental health, taking care of my diet, continue to exercise, and create the best work possible. I found that I was really making my best films when I was strongest mentally and physically. That consistency and that hustle actually leads me to my next tip, which is treat this like a 9-to-5 job. Setting a daily schedule and trying to stick to it goes a long way in a freelance career like filmmaking. I try to allocate my days into 2 big chunks. So I'll do a big work chunk in the morning, 3 to 4 hours of planning, editing, emails, whatever it is that I need to do that day. I'll take a break, exercise in the middle of the day, and then I'll go into round 2. So more or less, I'm kind of on that 9 a.m. to 6 a.m. schedule most days, with like an hour or 2 of breaking in between. Some days I'll feel a little bit more creative at night and edit into the night, but for the most part, I am trying to keep a very healthy, clear balance between when I'm working and when I'm not. I found by structuring my time that way and treating this as a 9-to-5 job, I was starting to develop my mindset towards filmmaking as a business and not as a hobby. When you set an 8-hour workday for yourself and you start to really get into the routine of creating things, and even if you don't have anything to create, trying new ways of filmmaking, trying new strategies, and trying new things, and failing or succeeding is all about making a career. There are a lot of things I did in this career that kind of didn't work. I would show up and I have this vision of creating this amazing spec commercial, and it would introduce me to this client and everything would work out, and it didn't work that way. But I added a piece to my portfolio, I showed up at 9 a.m. the next day, and I kept working on something else. And I think once you're able to kind of build this routine, you can start creating really consistently, set some goals, and achieve those goals on a regular basis. I like to set quarterly goals, so every 4 months I'll have a check-in with myself and kind of see where things are at. I think when you're able to set goals and reflect on them, that can give you kind of a little roadmap of what you're liking and what you're enjoying, as well as what's working and what's not working. If you're continuously setting goals every quarter and not hitting them, maybe it's time to set different goals or try something different in your business to make something work that maybe isn't working already. Next up, to create a sustainable career as an adventure filmmaker, you have to develop a signature style. I like to think of this as what you as a filmmaker are known for. Finding your voice is an ongoing journey in the filmmaking industry. You start to discover what it is that you're good at and what it is that you're passionate about. And once you're able to pair those two things, that's where your style and your voice comes from. For me, I've found that a lot of my joy and my purpose is coming from sharing stories about diversity, equity, and inclusion in the outdoors. So sharing big adventures, sure, with some professional athletes, of course, that's part of my job, but also focusing on the untold stories of the outdoor industry. As I've said many times on this channel, I like to think the outdoors as a stage, and that's kind of the landscape in which these beautiful stories take place. So I'm really focused on the meaningful human storytelling and the emotions that come from that. Developing that style took time. I had to make a big portfolio before I was able to whittle down and showcase only the work I wanted to get hired for. Showcasing your personal brand across all sorts of projects that you work on. So whether I'm working on a giant 5-episode bike series, which I'm doing right now that should be out later this fall, or I'm working on a 1 to 2 minute piece for Patagonia, the styles should feel the same, even though the scope of the project and the scale of the project is a lot different. This is of course easier said than done because style is something that continuously develops and something that we need practice to create, because the more videos you create, you start to realize what works and what doesn't. And when I look back at my earliest videos, there's a lot that's missing there for sure, but there are some elements of my style that when I look back on now that were definitely still there. Once you have all that in place and you've made some videos and you feel proud of it, putting it up on a proper website goes a long way in also helping to create a career for yourself, because this can help push your work to new people. It gives you an online presence beyond Instagram, beyond YouTube, beyond just the social media platforms, and you can start to send that to production companies, potential collaborators, directors, producers, so that you can get hired to be a part of projects beyond your own, or eventually just showcase your own projects that you've worked on that you're proud of that can help broadcast that message to different types of people, maybe than just the friends and family you see on your social media accounts. I like social media. I don't love social media. I like it. I think it is helpful. But I haven't gotten a lot of work from my Instagram and YouTube accounts. The vast majority of my work comes through my website, because a website is a place where you can showcase your personality, you can showcase the work that you've done, the photos you've taken, you can write blogs and articles about who you are, what you stand for, and can share that voice. Now that you've followed all these tips, you're making good videos, you're proud of your style that you're creating, now it's important to understand the business and marketing of filmmaking. I am really interested in marketing, and that's actually only really developed in the past few years as I've seen the importance of understanding marketing when it comes to creating branded documentaries. And I'll likely make more videos about marketing in the future so you as filmmakers can understand the importance of where these clients are coming from and how to best serve them. But for now, I'll just give you a brief overview of the importance of business understandings when you're creating a sustainable career as an adventure filmmaker. Marketing is where I think films and your career can go from good to great. When I get hired by these brands to make these films, I'm often getting hired by the marketing team. The marketing director will talk to me through what it is that they're trying to achieve, and I will go out as the filmmaker, create films, create photos, and create assets for them to use in their marketing materials to help push their products or their values, their ambassadors, their athletes, anything that's related to their company that they can use to market to the masses. Once you start to understand the nuances of what they're looking for, you can better serve your clients by making a video that's not just cool and interesting and looks great, but actually serves their key performance initiatives. So once the video's done, they can use this and really gain a lot of value from what it is that you created. Effective communication and relationship skills are a part of this, but understanding the brands that you're working with can go a long way in what it is that you're trying to create. we're trying to show the technical precision or the environmental values of certain companies, you can maybe tailor your video to reflect those values a little bit more. So when you send that final MP4 file in, they will be so stoked because you hit exactly the nail on the head what it is that they're trying to achieve. I write a lot about marketing and kind of easy to understand terms on my website if you want to check out some of those articles below, or feel free to drop a comment about topics that you want to learn about, and maybe I'll make future videos here on this YouTube channel where we can talk more about the marketing for adventure filmmaking specifically. Now to wrap it up, go make films. If you make good adventure films and you continuously make good adventure films, that is how you make a sustainable career. So if you take nothing else from all of these tips, which I hope you don't, I hope these are valuable for you, just remember, go out, make a film, then do it again.